How social services address intergenerational trauma for healing families. Explore how social services are tackling intergenerational trauma and helping families heal emotional wounds passed down through generations. How social services are tackling generational trauma. You know, I've been thinking a lot about how pain and struggles don't just affect one person. They ripple through entire families, sometimes for generations. This is what social services are starting to pay way more attention to, addressing generational trauma. Whether it's called intergenerational trauma, inherited trauma, ancestral trauma, or transgenerational trauma, the idea is that emotional wounds from the past don't stay put. They pass down through family lines, impacting people's lives today. So, imagine a family where trauma, maybe from things like abuse, neglect, systemic racism, or poverty, has been in the background for decades. The kids may not directly experience the original event, but they can still carry the weight of that pain through learned behaviors, coping mechanisms, or even biological changes we're only starting to fully understand. This is where social services come in, trying to create programs that don't just treat one person, but the whole family system. One of the big challenges is that traditional approaches to mental health and community support often focus on just the individual, like counseling sessions or case management for one person. But with multi-generational trauma, the issues are so tangled up in family history and dynamics, you really need a more holistic approach. Social workers and counselors are increasingly recognizing this, bringing family therapy, trauma-informed care, and community-oriented services into the mix. It's also about education and empowerment. Social services are helping families understand how inherited trauma works, which lets them break the cycle consciously instead of unknowingly repeating painful patterns. There's this incredible book called The Generational Algorithm that's become really popular in this space. It explores how emotional programming from previous generations can be rewritten and healed, which is a game changer for many people looking to regain control over their family narrative. If this sounds like something you or someone you know could benefit from, buy now on Amazon. It's a practical guide filled with insights and tools to help families transform long-standing emotional patterns into something healthier and more nurturing. Another cool thing social programs are doing is partnering with community leaders who understand the cultural context of these traumas. For example, in Indigenous and immigrant communities, acknowledging ancestral trauma is crucial. It's not only about healing individual wounds, but also restoring community and cultural identity, which gets disrupted by historical trauma. Plus, many initiatives focus on breaking down the stigma around mental health, especially in communities where talking about family trauma can feel taboo. Social workers act as bridges, offering safe spaces where people can feel heard without judgment and learn coping skills that honor their history instead of suppressing it. Here's something kind of fascinating. There's an emerging understanding that trauma can actually affect our biology, passed through epigenetics, meaning the way genes express themselves can change based on environmental experiences. This sheds a whole new light on why some families seem to carry certain vulnerabilities or health challenges linked to trauma. Addressing multi-generational trauma isn't simple. It requires patience, sensitivity, and a willingness to confront sometimes uncomfortable realities. But social services are moving toward that with more comprehensive, culturally aware programs and resources. And it's not just about healing. It's about prevention and resilience building, so future generations have a better shot at thriving free from the shadows of their past. Honestly, this shift in social services feels like a step toward a brighter future, where family trauma doesn't have to define us forever. If you want to explore practical strategies for that transformation, definitely check out The Generational Algorithm. It's a real eye-opener.